coffee at Primrose was calling you back home. The other side of the pond tempts me. Why would I leave the city? She knows me. And you, I see myself and time. Loyalties will never die. Everything you do is haunted. Everything you do is a warning. Everything you do is hurting me. City set me free. Up in my garret, I sit out on the roof. Look out on Bristol, I see the truth. We have history, she's cursed and loved me. How could I leave the cliffside, this view? And you, I see myself and time. Loyalties will never die. Everything you do is haunted. Everything you do is a warning. Everything you do is hurting me. Everything you do is haunted. Everything you do is a warning. Everything you do is hurting me. City set me free. Myself and time. Loyalties never die. Love is worth all the pain. Will you forgive and give again? Oh, everything you do is haunted. Everything you do is a warning. Everything you do is hurting me. Oh, everything you do is haunted. Everything you do is a warning. Everything you do is hurting me. City set me free.
Hey guys, it's the Captain here. Thanks for watching Andertons TV. And I'm really happy to say that today Mary Spender's come to spend the day with us.
No pun intended.
Well, very true. Yes, I'm sorry about that. And Mary came up on my YouTube feed earlier this year. Watched a couple of gear demos that you'd done and listened to a couple of tunes. Saw your infamous John Mayer question at the NAMM show.
I know.
And I just enjoy it. You know, I found it really, really easy to watch your stuff. So I thought we should invite you up and see what happens. And this is what's happening. So tell us a bit about yourself. When did you get into, you know, guitar and songwriting, and where are you from and everything?
Grew up in Salisbury. Started playing electric guitar first at 11. I was studying classical music quite a lot, so I was learning violin, piano, and classical singing, and I was bored out of my mind. And I saw some boys playing an electric guitar. At the time I thought it was a Fender, but it was actually probably just a Squire.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that? I need to play. And I was listening to like quite heavy rock bands. So I was like, I have to play guitar. And I didn't start singing songwriting until I was about 15.
What were the kind of heavy rock bands then? You know, what was your... I think everybody
Really
has that. No, I don't think everybody has that moment where it's just like, oh man, I got to play. You know, I need to learn how to play the electric guitar. So what was your sort of?
The first band that comes to mind is The Offspring.
Oh really?
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Like I just absolutely loved their music.
What was the singer had like an Ibanez? He had a nickname, like a single, or whatever. Like everyone on.
I literally can't remember. I just
that was
remember
real
their
punk
artwork.
pop kind
Conspiracy
of, you know.
of One. I think that came out. Bought the CD of that. Blink-182.
Of course.
Oh my god.
Everybody loves Blink-182.
I got so told off. I bought Enema of the State.
Right.
I bought it with some money that my grandmother had given me, and I took it home. My parents were like, "What have you bought?" And then I showed them that album, and they were like, "You're taking that back." Because I was 11 or 12, and it's got like filthy language in it. But I loved it. And then, yeah, my brother was listening to Linkin Park.
Yeah.
So again, this is all coming back. I haven't thought about this in years.
Linkin Park.
Oh, Limp Bizkit.
All the good stuff.
I know, but it was all those bands that kind of inspired me. But I realised I wasn't playing guitar like any of them.
Yeah. So how did that? Was it like went to your mum and dad, said, "Please, can I have birthday money, Christmas money, whatever? I want an electric guitar," or were they a bit more supportive than that?
I said that, and then they were like, "Oh, you had to buy it yourself."
Really?
Yeah. So I saved up pocket money. I think I had a cleaning job, just a B&B over the road. They were like, "We'll pay you £4 an hour." Slave labour.
Yeah. How much do you think that is? I mean, I know when I was a kid, and obviously having a dad that owned a music shop meant that there was a sort of a never-ending supply of, would you like learn to play the clarinet or learn to play the piano or, and I gave them all up until I eventually said, "I'd like to guitar, Dad." And I think by this time my dad was so sick of me just borrowing, taking stuff from the store and never learning to play it properly, that he said, "Well, you have to buy it then." And I don't know if that's a sort of an important, you appreciate it more.
Oh, absolutely. My dad was like, "Oh, well, I'll never buy you a car either." Obviously I was a bit young for a car, but he just said violin was a little bit pricey for me to even try and save up my pocket money, so they did buy me a violin. But those violin, piano, I was very good at practicing initially, and then I lost interest pretty quickly, and they thought the same thing would happen with guitar. But I was still having lessons with all the other instruments, and they were like, "Well, we can't afford your lessons either." So I am entirely self-taught.
Yeah.
But I did classical music at university to sort of wrap up my education.
Was that about studying the history of it and the composers, or was that very much about composition and performance, or?
A mixture of all, really. Bristol University was very academic and probably the wrong course for me. Now I was looking at sort of ACM and stuff. I was like, oh, maybe I should have gone there. But it was analysis, composition, history. Obviously there's a huge amount of history, essays. Yeah. I wrote a dissertation.
Are you a big classical music fan? Do you think there's anything that you're doing in any way inspired by?
I think I'm not. I don't really listen to it as much as I should. And actually, I think maybe my songwriting now is the productivity of it is declining because I'm not rebelling against classical music anymore. I get to do the music that I want to. So when I was at university, my songwriting, I was just really prolific. They were all terrible songs, But I was actually physically writing, which obviously you have to filter out the crap to get the good stuff. But I think having that musical education definitely helped me to pick up the guitar and be able to know, I already knew chords and keys, and I knew the technical side of it, but I don't really pay attention to that even now. I try and train my ear, which I didn't have a very good ear from studying classical music. It was terrible. Everything, it was all math, so you just like play exactly what's on the page. Right. You don't have to improvise or anything. But yeah, once I picked up the guitar, I knew that was it.
And what was the guitar that you bought yourself first then?
Pacifica 112. Still got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, you know what?
Found it the other day, actually. I did a video on it.
I'm a massive advocate, and I suppose some would say I would be, selling guitars for a living, in that, getting young people and young, children basically to want to play the electric guitar or the guitar full stop isn't a problem. There are a huge percentage of the population want to do it.
Yeah.
But a combination of crappy gear and crappy tuition, and I suppose an element of some kids just won't connect with it or whatever, but I think the crappy gear and the crappy tuition plays a huge part in why so many people, by the time, they do it for 6 months and then it's just like, no, it's not for me. And it's great that you've got brands like, Yamaha with their Pacifica and other some such brands, and great that you've got sort of modern educators out there that understand that, getting a kid to do green sleeves over and over again, or, London Bridge is falling down on a classical guitar or whatever, over is not the way to engage. What they really want to do is learn to play a Blink-182 track as fast as possible. It's like with distortion on their amplifier.
Yeah. Muse again. I was just trying to learn all the Muse riffs.
Oh well, maybe you wouldn't start with Muse.
No, I was trying to.
Really?
I was trying to learn Plug-in Baby as soon as I picked up the guitar. After I'd learned, I think I mastered Teenage Dirtbag.
Yes, absolutely.
So from Wheatus to
Yeah.
Muse.
I used to do Teenage Dirtbag, but I'm going to try and remember it. Isn't that... That's it. I used to do this in a band. That's it. That's the one. It's such a great tune, and not that difficult to kind of play as well. So you've got this Pacifica guitar, and you're now taking music quite seriously in your education. What was the moment, the sort of light bulb moment, when you just think, I think I want to do this more seriously now, and maybe instead of a 9 to 5?
I think I wanted to be a pop star since the age of 6.
Hairbrush in front of the
I couldn't
mirror.
think of anything. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but pretending to be one of the Spice Girls on the playground, I was just like, I've got to perform. Which one? It's like, as
soon as you said
Jerry.
You wanted to be Jerry.
Jerry.
Fair enough. I had to ask.
I know. I still stick by that. I think I saw Avril Lavigne as well. I didn't see that many girls playing guitar. Saw Avril Lavigne. I was like, oh my God, I could play electric guitar properly. Like I could actually, although she wasn't actually really playing that properly.
Was she not? She could play
now I look at the videos that I was there being like, oh my God, she's a virtuoso player, and I look at them and she's just playing simple chords.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But she's a good player, and I know that she's still playing. But it was nice having that sort of role model. Katie Tunstall, huge role model for me. That famous Jules Holland loop pedal performance. Yeah,
that was a powerful performance, I think, wasn't it? Because she... I don't get the opportunity to interview many female guitar players, and I'm always conscious of the fact that the fact of the matter is that if I have 100 customers coming to Andertons to buy an electric guitar, 97 of them will be blokes. Some people are saying that a lot of women are buying, actually the data that we don't get to see is that actually there's probably a lot more women buying online because they find the music stores an uncomfortable place to be, rather than they're not out there at all. But I guess it stands to reason when you go, boys have got so many role models people to idolise and want to be as electric guitar players. And undoubtedly women have less, but do you think even at that age are you looking for female icons to look up to, or do you just look up to anybody that plays the guitar and feel like I'd like to sort of emulate that?
I think you want to see, I think this applies to men as well, but you want to see a grown-up version of yourself. So women do want to see other women. And there is a lack of guitar players, but I know that you're aware that there are some really extraordinary players out there, and you just have to go to NAMM and you just have to realise like there are lots. But it's just strange because I've had meetings with record labels, and I've been pursuing singing-songwriting for 10 years now, 11 years, and quite a lot of them have told me to put down the guitar.
Right, just sing.
And they were just like, just sing. Just focus on songwriting, but sing. And I was there being like, okay, well, I can do that, but then I'll just look like everybody else. And so, and they were like, oh, we need to get your image right as well, because my image supposedly wasn't right. But I was like, well, I need the guitar for my image, because I play the guitar and I sing and I write songs that way. And so ever since I focused down and just ignored that advice and just thought, okay, I'm just going to focus in on guitar, everything started working a bit better.
Well,
everything's coming together a bit more. I'm still, in a limbo, but
I wonder if that sort of approach from managers and labels doesn't exclusively apply to girls, does it? I mean, I've seen again similar guys where the label just go, do you know what? Your face fits for this type of artist, and that type of artist doesn't play guitar; he dances. So, and you just go, oh, okay, tricky one that one is, because I guess on the one hand you know that there is potentially this opportunity of a career doing music, and you're sort of going, well, maybe I will put down the guitar, and then on the other hand you've got your own integrity, haven't you, and your own sort of feeling of I want to be me and not what you think I could be. But
you have to come up with your own thing, and you just have to stick by it. If it doesn't work in the market, then you just have to deal with that. But pretending to be something else and being successful that way is not fulfilling to anyone.
So who would you have seen then? Beyond Katie Tunstall, was there anyone else that you really thought? Because I do agree with you. If there are a ton of very talented women playing guitar that you really only find if you go looking for them on YouTube. If you sort of said, who am I likely to see, who am I likely to hear on the radio or headlining a festival or whatever, the list shrinks rapidly.
Yeah.
But so who are you, who else do you think, gives you faith or that actually, there are role models coming through that more women will see and be inspired to play guitar, other than yourself, obviously. Even if you see yourself as a role model.
Not to myself. Leanne La Havas. Have you ever seen her play?
No, I don't know her.
Oh my God. I think she released her debut album in 2011. And she was playing a James Tressard, obviously his metal, but it was a Telecaster shape and it was sort of hollow. And I was like, oh my God, what is that? And then she played guitar for a whole set, and
just
she did really well. No, singer-songwriting,
well.
full band, but just she can really play.
Really.
And she just looks like a rock star as well. but sort of soulful, quite poppy music, but just again very clever. And she, I think she played the Westholt stage at Glastonbury, and it was a bit of a, obviously it's a huge stage anyway, so she was already doing pretty well to get that slot, but that was like a breakout moment for her.
Oh, cool.
I feel like she's played on Jules Holland and stuff, but yeah, so that's 2011, so that's still 6 years ago. So she's had a big effect. Weirdly enough, Katy Perry, when she first came out and she was playing acoustic guitar, and she was playing interesting chords, and she was obviously songwriting, that was a weird one for me. And I love pop music, I love cheesy pop music anyway. But now she's sort of stepped away from the guitar, and she's obviously focusing on being one of the biggest superstars in the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably not, that's not an entirely exclusive, I mean, again, that's not a female thing. I mean, I can think of 4 or 5, ridiculous guitar players. I'm going to just chuck one out there. George Benson, off the charts jazz guitar player, who at some point in his career took the commercial decision that actually singing R&B love songs with no guitar was going to appeal to a way wider audience than playing jazz guitar and and scatting over the top of it. But so I guess Katy Perry has just presumably we're both massive John Mayer fans, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think John Mayer is from that kind of continuum peak of just guitar insaneness has stepped back a little bit and gone, you know what, I think maybe I'll just focus on songs and vocals and things because I think that will appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah, I think also he's never really put down the guitar completely.
No, agreed.
But he's playing piano more and stuff like that, and I think and dancing in music videos now. So
with pandas, awesome.
I guess it's what makes your heart sing. So you might get tired of playing guitar. Like it might just be a personal thing. You might just be like, oh, I've done 3 albums, me just bluesing it up. I'm gonna try something different and see if people still like it, and whether it is down to the songwriting or whether it's just the guitar playing that these people like me. And I think.
No, that's fair enough. I was probably a bit unfair to say that John Mayer did it entirely for commercial reasons. You're probably right. Certainly in interviews I've seen with him, it's about just not doing the same thing over and over and over again.
And switching genre for him, I think, was quite impressive, and going a bit country and now going a bit more, he's always been pop in a way. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I'd love to know more about the mindsets of those sorts of artists. And I think they do sometimes shed light on interviews, but rarely. But there are more songwriting sort of analysis YouTube channels where they really go into those sorts of things and try and find the roots of that hit song.
Look, so tell me about. I mean, are you a bit of a gearhead? Are you bang into all the kind of what guitars are on the market and what pedals and amps and how can I get certain sounds, or are you perhaps just beginning that journey, or what's your?
I think I'm at the beginning. I'm definitely into my guitars, and I wish I had unlimited money to be able to have everything. But I was quite stubborn for quite a long time. I think I could have learned a lot more, a lot quicker if I had actually been paying attention to what was happening. But I was I went acoustic. I went the opposite to Bob Dylan, because when I was touring and when I was at university and sort of doing open mics and everything, it was a lot easier to just plug in an acoustic guitar, and then even I used a loop pedal for a time. But it wasn't until I saw this guitar that I decided. I was like, no, I've got to go back to electric. So
are you exclusively electric now when you're sort of gigging?
In my headline sets, I'm exclusively electric.
So, tell me about this guitar, because I am a really not familiar with anything beyond. I know Vigier are from France. And that's the limit of what I know. So tell me about that.
So this is a Vigier GV Rock in Revolution Green, as they describe it, even though it's basically seafoam, isn't it? And I saw this at NAMM 2015. They came out with this model with the matte paint, this lovely binding. And I just saw it on the wall. And I was friends with them as a company. I'd met Patrice, I'd met Lena. Ben, the UK manager of Vigier, did sell me my first guitar in Percy Priors in Salisbury when I was 11, and he was for it must have been 10, 12 years. He was just like, you should try Vigier. And I'd pick them up and I'd see them and I'd be like, well, they're not quite my aesthetic, and I wasn't quite. I didn't fall in love with them.
I'm thinking of Bumblefoot and maybe Guthrie Govan and stuff like that have been associated with them, haven't they? So
yes, and they are virtuoso players, which I'm not. So I saw this one, I was like, oh my god, I have to have that. And I hadn't felt that way about a guitar since, I don't know, I had an Ibanez Artcore, I can't remember which model, but one of the big hollow bodies with the not the rounded swirl, but is it a Venetian swirl when it's pointed? That's where my technique
is it Florentine is the pointy one and Venetian is the curvy one?
Oh,
or
right,
is it the other way around?
I feel like it. I don't know.
Well,
we'll find out.
But I know what you mean. The pointy
one.
horn, not the curvy horn.
Yeah,
yes.
And I hadn't fallen in love with a guitar until that, and I bought that when I was 18, and I sold it to buy a mountain bike. But anyway, I saw this, and I played it, and the neck was just the right shape for me. I've got relatively small hands, and all their other ones, I've actually got an Indus now by them, and the neck's just like that much broader that I don't pick it up as much.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I just fell in love, and I also liked them as a company. They let me go to NAMM, and they just gave me free rein, and I just found their support to be quite kind, and also it was something different for them.
Yeah.
Because they don't have that many singer-songwriter bluesy players playing Vigier. So got this made, got it in August 2015, and yeah.
You done any kind of modifications to it? I noticed you've got the little bit of foam behind the.
No, that's
there
it's,
anyway.
It's all as is. It's just filthy because I play it a lot.
It's a really it's interesting because it's Pete and I were trying to decide whether I know we could have just gone on the internet and it would have been massively easier to do this, but we were trying to decide if it was a shorter scale guitar, because if it's got 10 gauge strings on it, which you think it did, it's incredibly easy to bend and a light feel on it. So I wasn't sure if it was like a slightly shorter.
I feel like they're just terribly old strings.
Yeah, maybe, but it certainly had a really interesting lacquer on it. Was sort of it's
that sort of.
It felt really smooth. Mm-hmm. In no way sort of sticky or anything like that.
No.
But I thought it is a nice, comfortable guitar. The detail on the fret edging is really, really high.
I know.
Really high quality. But it is probably a marginally smaller and lighter looking guitar than, say, something like a Les Paul or whatever.
Oh, definitely. I think I can't remember exactly. I do know the specs, but I just can't remember right now. It just felt very comfortable for my frame as well. And I also just thought, everyone's going to be like, what is that guitar? They're not going to know. I had a Fender Strat in Arctic White, and I loved it. But the neck was actually too broad for me. And when I bought it, I didn't actually realise that that's what I didn't like.
Yeah. I think you have to go on that journey of discovery, because I've sat and done so many video reviews where the specification, the nut width and the width at the 12th fret and the depth of the neck, they're all written down, and you realise after a while that the difference between a guitar that you find unbelievably comfortable to play and then the next one where you feel quite awkward to play can literally just be a millimetre.
I know.
And it's almost like you then start going, well, I don't know how useful the specs really are, because if you're literally talking about maybe a millimetre this way and a millimetre this way makes it uncomfortable, the only real way to find that out is to just go and try it.
Absolutely. I think that's why shops, you have to have them. You have to have those guitars on the wall. You can't just look on the internet and just buy it.
Yeah. Well, unless you're
going to return it.
Yeah, or you've had a friend that has got one, But
even then, I feel like some of the GV Rocks I've played, they just felt a bit different to this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, this one feels different to the first one that I picked up and I saw on the wall. Yeah.
I wonder if, I think on the more mass-produced a guitar is, particularly if it's been made using sort of CNC machines, the more consistent they should all be.
Yeah.
But you're
These
right,
are made
I guess,
to order, yeah.
Yeah, if they're made on jigs or by hand or anything like that, then I guess you could be forgiven for, every one being minutely different to the next.
It might also just be how you're feeling that day.
1,000,000%.
It can be.
That's
whether your hands are warmed up or anything.
That's my number one reason why people say, if you get the Desert Island Disc question, so what one guitar would you be happy with for the rest of your life? And I'm like, none of them. Because
wouldn't be able to choose.
No, because I just know if you said to me, this is the only guitar that you can ever play, I'll get bored of it at some point. At some point I will get bored of it, and I will want to pick something else up just to refresh.
Well, I have another Vigier that does it. You know, it's an Indus, so it's slightly wider neck. It's different body shape. You know, more similar to a Strat, but different. And it's got the Little Thunder pickup in it, and that was the reason. I actually bought this guitar to put a special pickup that turns your electric guitar into a bass as well at the same time. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Oh, that is the Little Thunder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, because I remember seeing the Kickstarter campaign for that about 2-3 years ago, whatever, like that.
Yeah, maybe 2014.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so at the 2015 NAMM, I went and met Andy, and the guys at Vigier were just like, "Oh, Mary, for your style of playing, the way I play a bass line with my thumb," they were just like, "You have to."
That for sure is probably why the Indus. I mean, so where did that thumb round the side come from? Because that's still. I mean, I love watching lots of my favourite, Hendrix, Eric Gales, even Pete, will use the thumb wrapped around to add bass notes into chords that you can't do unless you're going to bar them. But I find that quite uncomfortable to do, but it seems to come quite naturally to you. Is that a style that you developed early on? Were you always playing kind of the root note of the chord with your thumb? Or?
No, I saw Katie Tunstall do it, and I was like, what's she doing? And then it was John Mayer, watching him play.
Right. He's got hands like spades.
I know. Well, that's the other thing. I don't. I really think he has a big advantage. Maybe I'd play like John Mayer if I had bigger. No, I'm joking. I broke my middle finger when I was 22, and I had a cycling accident, and I still had gigs, and I couldn't play the viola. I was doing my finals at university where I was playing viola in orchestras, and because I'd broken the tip of it, I couldn't push down that way.
Yeah.
But I could still play guitar because it was that. So I had a little cast on it, and so I was doing that, and I was swearing at everyone when I was playing, but I was like, oh well, I can't do normal chords because if you take your thumb away, you can't do anything. But I could wrap my thumb around, and it was all from that little cycling accident. I was like, okay,
because you play that.
Because I still had gigs, I wasn't going to turn them down.
And it gives you, I know when we jammed through that number you did at the beginning, you are sort of playing like a rhythmically kind of thumping bass line, obviously with the thumb.
Which can be a bit of a bad habit sometimes.
Oh no, I like it. I mean, I think it does. It creates that extra layer of almost like two instruments accompanying them.
I think also for songwriting and playing live, there was a long time before I could afford having a band.
Right.
And that's why I have my Indus as well for solo shows when it's just suitable that I play by myself. I have this low end coming out of a bass amp that is a bass signal.
Right.
And it just adds that thing, but it's just me on stage.
So
everyone thinks it's a pedal, but it's
Mm.
actually the pickup, and it only picks up either the lowest 2 or the lowest 3 strings, and you can change between it. So with an octave pedal, obviously you'd pick up what you're doing on top, but it just avoids that, and so it just adds this whole. And
what about sort of amps and pedals then? So I mean, your two Vigiers are your main. That's the two guitars that you'll predominantly play live, and. I know the first video I saw of yours was the Turnip Greens Electro Harmonics review, which I enjoyed very much. But I don't recall. Did you go into what amp you were using in that video? But what is your gigging amp and pedal board?
For the past few years, I've been using a Laney Lionheart.
Yeah. The blue. Is that the blue one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, thought it was pretty. I saw that at NAMM 2015 as well, and I. Just went to my local store and bought that. But at the guitar show in February, I was playing a set and I was using orange amps. Yep. And I quite like that.
You fancy going orange?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Any particular one that you liked?
I used one of their custom heads recently.
Oh, custom 50, custom shot 50.
Yes, I used that and I was like, oh, I wish I had the money to
and a roadie.
And a roadie.
Yeah.
And so I haven't actually chosen what I'll use. I need to play around.
I'm still freaked out by this. Pete and I had dinner last night with some Japanese guys, very influential, work for a big technology company. Where's Pete? Why is there giggling? I'm not going anywhere with this, other than to say that. I think there's a huge sort of like juxtaposition in the guitar market, in that you've got what manufacturers, particularly technology manufacturers, want to try and do is work out how technology can make things better.
Yeah.
I don't even really know what better means, but you know, everything. And yet Orange or whoever come out with the Custom Shop 50, which is about as rudimental and as you could possibly get, you know, just one gigantic big volume knob on like the oldest technology that there is, and you just go, dun dun, best guitar sound ever.
I know.
And you just feel like we've done it. We've made a product that sounds amazing 60 years ago. So can't we just have that? Apart from the fact it's stupidly big and heavy.
I know.
And expensive.
And expensive. I was actually a little bit naive with amps for a long time as well. And I would, when I first got this, I did have my turnip greens. Actually, no, I only got that 2 years ago, so what am I talking about? But I would put it straight through a PA, DI it. I know, I was really naive.
No speaker emulation, no nothing.
No, nothing. And this sounded great.
But with no distortion, it should sound okay. But as soon as you put distortion on, it's going to sound...
I wasn't
okay, fine.
I was playing clean.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, but and it wasn't until I saw that Lionheart, and then now I don't record anything straight into my laptop anymore like I used to. But I think everyone goes through those stages of development.
Yeah, I mean, if it's I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure people will be commenting loads, but I'm sure there's loads of that kind of Dark Side of the Moon kind of Pink Floydy stuff that was, you know, lots of the clean sounds are literally electric guitar straight into the desk.
Yeah.
You know, and it can be a sound. All the Nile Rodgers stuff is just straight into the desk, is it as well? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you can't.
I've got my human Wikipedia behind the camera. So I mean, yeah, it'd be fun to see which Orange amp you end up with.
I know.
You know, I mean, the new rockers are cool.
They are cool.
But yeah, so pedal. When I say tell us about your pedal board, is it a board or is it just tell us about your pedal singular?
My pedal. It's a very, very diminutive board. Yes. I actually really want to, again, like all these things that I keep finding out about, and you know, just researching and then getting the funds to actually go into a shop and purchase these things. It's a nice journey to almost be just at the beginning of. Like I've done the songwriting, I've done that, and I've performed, and I've got all those bits down, and now it's like the tech side of guitar. How do I actually want to sound?
Yeah.
And I think it's a really fun journey, and it's really important to figure it out yourself at your own pace. But my pedal board consists of a tuner, a boost, my turnip greens, and then I've got a custom compression by MXR. What else do I have? A little Moa, the analog tape delay thing.
I'm guessing the compressor really helps with your, you know, particularly as a singer at the same time if you're playing that kind of bass. And
yeah, it helped initially, and then actually with the turnip greens, I don't use it on that.
Oh really?
It's nicely compressed anyway, and actually the MXR mixed with that feels a bit weird, but that's just personal taste. So I sort of swap in, swap out, but I really only have maximum 3 pedals.
I think that's for me, that's one of the appeals, why I think the electric guitar is so enduring in its appeal, in that, you know, you've got everybody from Buddy Holly through to, you know, Metallica or Radiohead or U2, you know, all fundamentally using the same thing.
Yeah.
But just getting the most diverse
It's
tones.
the most versatile instrument in the world. You can make it sound like any other instrument.
I think, again, you know, when you see particularly, you know, bands like Radiohead and U2 have embraced the pedal or the effect side of what the electric guitar can do to create, you know, genre defining sounds that you know that so I think it is I wouldn't say it's essential as a guitar player to know what the technology does, but I think it's what's the word for when, you know, it opens your minds to all the possibilities of what you can do. So I think it'll be fun it'll be fun to get on that journey and just go, what happens if I buy an Electro Harmonix Pog and I set, I got my basic sound plus a fifth above and a third below, and and I turn it on and off, and then can I write a song? Does it? What happens?
And buying these pedals and just actually sitting with them. I've had a go on quite a lot of the Electro Harmonix range, and like the Mel 9, the B9 is so
all the organ
weird.
things. Yeah.
But again, and you have to figure out, what did I buy recently? Is there a phaser? One of the Electro Harmonix phaser? Is that even a thing?
Well, they do the small stone and the small. Well, actually, which is the phaser? Whatever. It won't be called a phaser. It'll have a name. Small stone, small clone, or is it just the phase? Do they do a phase?
I bought it secondhand, and
whatever.
I just wanted to have. I like Electro Harmonix anyway. So every time I see something up secondhand, I usually buy it. And I was trying to write with it, and I was like, this is the most pointless pedal in the world. I can't make them sound good. And it's fun. But actually, for what I'm doing, it's not suitable. But for a guitar video, showing it, it's all thing. It's finding where those things are necessary and where it's just not. Yeah. So like you see so many guitarists with these huge pedal boards, and I actually just wonder how many they actually play through.
Did you see the Twitter post from John Mayer of his pedal board?
Not a recent one.
So his pedal board was. He basically has two pedal boards because there are that many pedals on there. So there must be.
Have you seen his rig rundown by his tech on YouTube?
Oh, maybe this is a
where
clip
he has
from
a
that.
whole.
Drawers of them and all this.
Oh my! And they're all wired in, and like he literally uses every single one of them. Yeah.
So the actual thing that he stomps on is just purely a control board that obviously triggers all the different loops, and that must have had 40 or 50 buttons on it. It was a great big thing about this big, just. And then tons of pedals, but
that's his
thing, isn't it?
That's his zone.
And I kind of think to myself, if you're, even if 50% of those pedals or 70% of those pedals are just adding just that little bit of something that maybe only John can hear, then he should have those. Because if it's going to inspire him to play to a level that he plays at, that's better than when he doesn't have that.
Yeah, I know that he's written songs just searched for that sound, and then he's written songs in the studio just using a certain pedal that you don't even realise is an actual guitar on the record. You're like, that must be something else, and then it's just him playing through it.
So you guys out there may well be pleased to know that what I'm very much hoping happens is that Mary starts appearing on Anderton's TV a bit more regularly. And we may talk about gear or songwriting, or Mary may go and do some interviews with people or whatever. But I'm throwing it out there to you. What would you like to see Mary doing more of on Anderton's TV? Mm-hmm. And just comment below. What is it that you think Anderton's TV kind of doesn't cover already that Mary can add? That's my kind of vibe, and that's really the sort of Mary and I literally have met each other properly today for the first time, and so a lot of this interview is getting to know each other just in front of you all. It's very nice. So look, let's jam out. Let's jam out with something. Well, I hope you've enjoyed, Mary and I rambling on for hours about a whole mix of just stuff with no real structure to this interview whatsoever, and a bit of noodling and stuff like that. But yeah, so please comment away in the section, comment in the comment section below. We're really looking forward to having you on board in whatever capacity it turns out to be. And thank you very much for coming up today. And as I said, look forward to working with you more in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for watching. And yes, we shall see you next time on Andertons TV.